Hey everyone, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Justin, and today we're doing a little bit of a review on some of the moves that the Leafs have made in free agency and the offseason so far. The reason why I've been putting this off for so long is because I've been waiting for the Leafs to make that big move that everybody knows is coming. We know there's going to be another signing. We know there's going to be a trade, and I've been putting this off so that we can have that happen already, and it just won't happen. So for all we know, it's likely going to come out tonight now that I've made this video. But in the meantime, I want to touch on some of the smaller moves that the Leafs have made so far. I guess we'll start with the goaltending because my last couple of videos have been based on the Matt Murray trade. And signing Ilya Samsonov makes it so much better. In fact, I'm actually feeling quite confident with the tandem in net between Samsonov and Murray. If you were to ask me relative to last year's tandem of Campbell and Mrazek, I'm just about even as where I felt last year. And so I know I had said in my previous video that I wouldn't feel overly comfortable with Matt Murray as a starter, but having that backup spot that is someone that we know has a track record of having success, someone who has a load of potential, so does Matt Murray, but Samsonov, a load of potential, still being really young, still owning his RFA rights after the one-year deal expires. I just think it was the perfect move. If you were to look at the free agent goalies available other than the likes of, Darcy Kemper, Jack Campbell, someone that is looking for a cheaper deal, someone that is looking to make a prove-it year, everybody knew that Ilya Samsonov was the target, and the Leafs were able to acquire that player at a lower price, at a lower deal than someone like Vitek Vanacek, who I thought Samsonov was the better option between the two. So couldn't be happier with that deal, and I'm actually looking pretty optimistic at this goaltending duo. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, the Leafs are making big changes to this roster after next season regardless, but we've put ourselves in a spot to at least have some success in that area. I also do have some more thoughts on the Matt Murray trade. It's an ever-evolving feeling with myself and Matt Murray. I've been talking myself into reasons why it's actually a very good move, and I feel like I'm going to come out with a series at some point defending Kyle Dubas. So look out for that. I know a lot of you watching are not fans of Kyle Dubas, but I myself am a huge fan of the moves he makes. And so you just have to look at it of a little bit of a different lens. And I actually, the more I think about it, do think that the right move was going after Matt Murray. So stay tuned for a video more on that to come. As far as the defense goes, a couple, minor depth signings in Victor Mete and Jordy Ben. The biggest thing that we're still waiting for, though, is Rasmus Sandin. I will die on this hill. We cannot lose him. I am not open to trading him. I think that the route at this point is honestly that it's looking likely that the Leafs are looking at a trading partner for Rasmus Sandin, considering the fact that he's asking for more money than they want to give him. He looks at the roster and he doesn't really see a spot for himself. And I just don't know if the two sides are going to meet in the middle here. I really hope that they do. And to me, Rasmus Sandin is the kind of player that you stick in the roster and make someone like Jake Muzzin a little bit more expendable. A player that's a little bit older, has a shaky health history, is $5.6 million, but they serve relatively similar roles in the lineup, except for the fact that Sandin is so much younger, would come so much cheaper, and he's got so much potential. You need to put him in the roster. You need to put him in spots where he's going to be able to actually play and develop. And hey, if you put this guy in your top four and it doesn't work out and it's a failure, at least you gave it a chance. Now, I'm the sort of person that defended Kyle Dubas for the move of keeping Garrett Sparks over Curtis McElhinney. And I know he got a lot of flack for that in the hindsight of it, but in asset management, that is the right play 10 times out of 10. You move on from the old veteran goalie who hasn't proven much recently, and you keep the guy that's young, developing, looking like he's going to be a strong talent. And obviously, Garrett Sparks didn't turn out to be that, but the philosophy remains the same. He's the right person to keep in that situation. And to me, the same applies here with Rasmus Sandin and Jake Muzzin. You keep the younger player, you keep the guy that's got more potential, you keep the guy that's going to be a cheaper option for you, and you die on that hill. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but you got to give him a shot at this point. I would love to see him come back, and that's the biggest item of business that still needs to come on the defensive end. But still, Victor Mete, Jordy Ben, they're guys that have been in this league for a while. Victor Mete is someone that used to have a high ceiling and a lot of potential. It doesn't look like he's that player anymore, but still someone that's serviceable to be your 7th, 8th defenseman, someone that can play on the Marlies. And if you're in a pinch or if you have injuries or if you want to be a little bit more dynamic, if he's someone that could play the left side and the right side, you bring him up and you see what he can do. And Jordy Ben, again, someone that's going to be a 7th or 8th defenseman, but if he steps up in the Leafs roster, he's someone that's played in the NHL for quite some time. He's got some snarl to him. He's not afraid to punch you in the face. That's the kind of player that we need. So good signings, cheap signings, not risky signings. Not much to say there. So that leaves us with the forwards, and I will continue to preach this as much as I can. Everybody focuses year in and year out that the Leafs need the biggest improvement on goaltending and defense. They think that that is the thing that's been killing the Leafs for years and years, but that is not the case. I am so firm on this for 6 straight years. The reason that the Toronto Maple Leafs have not had success in the playoffs is their forward group. It's their depth scoring. The Stars in years past have not performed, but obviously last year they did, but they didn't have the depth to support them, and they got outscored. It wasn't a matter of bad goaltending. It wasn't a matter of bad defense. They couldn't score. And so this is the area that I find most important for the offseason signings. And we've had a few, and some of them have been great. Nicolas Aube-Kubel is the kind of player that I think in the playoffs is someone that's able to step up or make a significant difference, because he's not a niche player like the likes of Ilya Mikheyev. And not to disrespect him, but Ilya Mikheyev is quite simple. He's a fast player, has struggles finishing, can play on your penalty kill, I guess, a little bit, but no real role or purpose. He's not physical. He's not overly tenacious. But then you look at Nico Aube-Kubel, obviously a lot cheaper in a very different role in your bottom 6, probably on your 4th line, but he's someone that's just going to be relentless on the puck, constantly forechecking, very tenacious, and that's the kind of effort that you need in the playoffs, whether it's going to lead to a 4th line goal or create some energy for the 1st and 2nd line. I think that's the great pickup for the Toronto Maple Leafs so far this offseason. We also do have a couple others, of course. Adam Gaudette. I don't know if he's going to be on the Leafs. He could be a 4th line center behind David Kampf. I think the ultimate goal is to have David Kampf as the 4th line center and find someone else to take that 3rd C spot. So I don't think Adam Gaudette was finishing the year on the Leafs. Perhaps he starts the year on the Leafs. Perhaps he's someone that just gets called up in injuries. But that's someone that it's a depth signing. You know, he's got some potential in him. He's got some scoring ability. He's a quick player, so we'll see where he pans out, but not a significant pickup. And of course, the biggest one so far, Calle Järnkrok. Now that's a signing that I really do like, and that's the signing that perks all Leafs fans' ears up, because this is the signing that shows most a trade or a deal or a significant change is still going to come, because Calle Järnkrok is extremely similar to Alex Kerfoot. And he's got the potential to step up and put up the points that Alex Kerfoot's put up, but I don't really see him and Kerfoot being on this roster together. I can see Järnkrok being a cheaper player that takes over Kerfoot's role on this team, considering the fact that Kerfoot just has not fully grasped his spot on this Leafs roster, and he is expendable, and he's worth some significant assets, probably a 2nd round pick, and maybe more on top of that. So that makes Kerfoot very expendable. I think it's a great deal in the sense that we get a little bit cheaper in that role. He's someone that's going to solidify our 3rd line very well, perhaps could even slot into the top 6 if they want to try him out on the left wing with Nylander and Tavares. But he's versatile. He's got a lot of different spots in him. He can play power play, he can play penalty kill, he can play wing, he can play center, both wings I might add. So he's a Swiss Army knife, and I really like a player like that on the Leafs. And if you're going to look for a replacement for Alex Kerfoot, that's the one to go after, and we got him. So with all that said, there's still moves that need to happen here. I think Kerfoot is a player that's probably on his way out. We still have Justin Hall in the top 6D. I don't see that staying as it is. We still need to sign Rasmus Sandin. I don't know the future of Jake Muzzin. I think the Leafs at this point are pretty firm on keeping him and moving Rasmus Sandin, but we'll see how that pans out. And then How are the offensive groups going to line out? I know that it's very important for this year in particular that we have a lot of Marlies graduate to the Toronto Maple Leafs, whether that be someone like Nick Robertson, Alex Steeves, some players that we've seen in the past get opportunities on a call-up, some players that we haven't seen in the NHL before. I think that that is going to be very, very important for both cap reasons, development reasons, for a shakeup of the team. We need some of those players stepping up in the roster, but I would really like to see another. I want to be, a little bit hesitant with this term, but use it correctly. An impactful and important piece on the forward group. I still think that we need someone in there, and if I were to isolate a spot, it's that second line left wing spot. We need a left winger who's going to be able to gel well with Nylander and Tavares, get that line going so that we have two units that are just unstoppable every single night between the Matthews unit and the Tavares unit. We need someone in that role. We need depth scoring. I don't know if that's a signing, because some of the best options available are off the board now, but there are still a couple there. There's Sonny Milano, there's Zach Aston-Reese, that's a different role, but there's a couple different options there. Perhaps it's a trade if you're looking for a trading partner with Alex Kerfoot, with Jake Muzzin. There's still options. So we'll see what happens next. I'm a fan of the moves we made so far, but most of them have been very, very insignificant. We brought back Pierre Engvall. I should add that as well. So that's a good piece to bring back on a third or fourth line. He did gel well with David Kampf at a lot of times last year. So good piece to bring back. But we'll see what's next. We're not done here. This is not the final roster. So I'll give my final opinions on how we're looking, obviously, when everything's said and done and we head into training camp. In the meantime, what are your thoughts? Let me know. What's the best signing the Leafs have made? What's the biggest move they still have to make? What's a free agent that's out there that we're still looking to get? Who is your main target moving forward? And again, we'll evaluate a little bit closer to the regular season, and I'll see you in the next one.